Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we look at all the latest comics and other media featuring the Transformers. In this episode, we continue to add more G.I. Joe pieces to the Energon Universe with a review of Destro #1. Today is Friday, July 5th, 2024, and this is episode 397 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that promises the ancestors to never bend to another podcast's will. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
What up? Let's talk Transformers.
As always, we start the show by thanking our donatrons, those lovely people who support us on Patreon and PayPal. Thank you all so much for continuing to support the show and help us out. We really appreciate those contributions. If you are not a donatron and would like to become one, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support, and that is where you can sign up. Of course, as a donatron, you get some bonus content that includes all our bonus shows, like We Like Big Bots, and that's available on our Patreon page. 13 episodes of We Like Big Bots are out right now, so you can get them all on our Patreon page. And more will be coming. We have at least one more in the chamber coming out soon, probably in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for that. But the bots stay big. They're still big, and they keep coming. So just stick around for that. We've also got season 3 of our Transformers Live Play RPG podcast, Empire of Rust. Episode 118 is available this week, and that's at transmissionspodcast.com/rust. And then next week will be the bonus uncut version of episode 119. And that'll be available a week early for donatrons on Monday, July 8th. So keep looking forward to that. And then we'll have TFCon. So Daryl and I will be at TFCon Toronto the weekend of July 12th to 14th. So it's coming up fast. So hopefully, if you're going to be there, look us up, say hi. Of course, we've also got our exclusive Skybound Transformers #1 comic with artwork by E.J. Sue, the cover art by E.J. Sue. This is available at our website, transmissionspodcast.com/comic. You can also pick it up from us at TFCon Toronto. We'll have a few copies there. If you run into us and want to buy one, we'll be happy to give it to you. And check those out. We've still got some left, and you can also get our original Till All Are One cover, the IDW Till All Are One cover. We're still selling that. We've got a few copies left of that, and you can bundle that with the Transmissions Transformers #1 from Skybound. And we've got, of course, lastly, we've got our Toyhax promo code. You can use that code BBQBOTS, and that is our July promo code for the month of July. BBQBOTS. Get that 15% off all your purchases at toyhax.com. That continues to work. And you will you cannot combine it with any other promo codes, but you can use it with your RoboPoints. So use that code BBQBOTS. All right, let's jump into our comic review. Okay, this week we are reviewing Destro #1. So continuing to build up G.I. Joe in the Energon Universe, much to Daryl's chagrin. This is the other main villain of G.I. Joe between Cobra Commander and Destro. So he's already shown up in Duke and at the end of the Cobra Commander miniseries. So this continues his story.
At least this guy's robotic, right? Like,
well, he has a metal mask. I don't know if that counts as robotic.
The mask? I thought he was a robot.
No,
it's just a mask.
Oh.
There are battled android troopers, and they say the word Energon.
That's true.
This is less awesome now.
So we are going to spoil the entire first issue of Destro #1. So if you have not read it yet, please stop the podcast, go read it, then come back. But we're going to get into the full story right now. So Destro #1, written by Dan Waters, artist Andre Bresson, colorist Adriano Lucas, letterer Russ Wooten, editor Ben Abernathy, logo and publication design Andres Juarez, and production Richard Mercado. So that is your creative team. In the European Republic of Darklonia, the natives are restless. The Prime Minister, a ruthless dictator, faces an uprising, storming his palace. He orders his general to send out the mercenaries they hired. Shoot a few protesters to spread fear, and the rest will disperse. But when the mercenaries come out of the palace gates to confront unarmed protesters, they're met with something else: killer robots. A battalion of Energon-powered battle android troopers storms the palace. The mercenaries open fire in panic, but they're no match for superpowered androids with machine guns for arms. In the palace, the Prime Minister realizes he's under attack not by protesters, but by international arms dealer and head of Mars Industries, Destro. Outside, the protesters celebrate their victory thanks to their metal liberators, but the celebration is short-lived as the soulless robots, after killing all the mercenaries, turn their guns on the protesters as well. There are still some bugs to be worked out on the BATS programming. With the dictator's power broken, the BATS are shut down, and Destro and his personal guard enter the palace to take control. The Prime Minister doesn't understand why a mercenary arms dealer wants to take over his country, and Destro simply explains that, for him, it'll turn a profit. Destro's cousin, Artyom Darklon, is the rightful heir to the family that founded Darklonia, and he will take over as Prime Minister. The ousted Prime Minister complains that the people will never accept his new rule and that they love him. But Destro disagrees. He reminds the Prime Minister that the people have turned against him since he turned Darklonia into a brutal dictatorship. The Prime Minister realizes he's done and curses Destro as he grabs a gun and shoots himself in the head. Elsewhere, Cobra Commander watches the news reports of the fall of Darklonia. He contacts Destro and tells him he did not supply Energon to his bats just to conquer backwater nations for his personal vendettas. Destro retorts that this was a useful field test of the bats that's revealed their programming is not sufficient yet since they can't tell friend from foe. Cobra Commander then concludes the bats are useless for real battlefield operations. This operation will draw unwanted attention before Cobra is ready to come out of the shadows. Destro replies that his operation was Mars Industries, not Cobra. He angrily tells Cobra Commander that they're in business together, but Destro doesn't work for him. He then cuts the transmission. Later, Destro makes a pilgrimage to the ancestral home of Clan Destro in the Scottish Highlands. He communes with his ancestors over the nature of warfare and how his clan has always controlled the weapons throughout history. He makes a promise to his ancestors that he will not let Clan Destro become subordinate to this Cobra Commander, and that he'll find a way to get the secret of Energon from Cobra to power the next generation of weapons technology. Back in Darklonia 3 weeks later, the new Prime Minister hosts a secret illegal international arms expo. Mars Industries sponsors the event, while all the major players in weapons technology are invited. This includes Astoria Carlton Ritz, the new CEO of Hybrid Technologies. Destro greets his fellow merchants as well as the customers, leaders of dictatorships around the world. Then Destro's Lieutenant Mercer approaches him and tells him that none of the other arms dealers appear to have access to Energon. But one company, Extensive Enterprises, led by twins Toyhax and Zaymot, did not join the party. So he's wondering what they are up to. And we see what they are doing in Sierra Gordo in South America. The twins control the Crimson Guard mercenary group and are supporting the rulers here in suppressing a guerrilla cell. One of the troop leaders is upset that the Crimson Guard didn't back up his troops in a recent operation. Toyhax and Zaymot tell him that he shouldn't have retreated and should have waited for the Crimson Guard to join the operation. They estimated only 20% losses for his troops, which was an acceptable loss. The leader retorts that he wasn't going to sacrifice 20% of his men for no reason. That's the number of wounded he suffered in the retreat, but luckily none of his men were killed. Tomax and Zaymot tell him that his general was displeased with the performance of his troops, and the leader should have accepted the 20% losses and stayed at his position. The general will not tolerate cowardice and has given Tomax and Zaymot authority to deal with the troops. The leader finally realizes what's happening and tries to protest, but it's too late. The Crimson Guard murders all the wounded soldiers, while Tomax and Zaymot take care of the field commander personally. They call the general and tell him it's done. They'll replace the lost soldiers with Crimson Guard mercenaries and replace the field commander. Also, since Tomax and Zaymot had to miss the arms event in Darklonia, they could use their absence as an opportunity. Back in Darklonia, stealth drones slip past the radar into Darklonia airspace and begin dropping bombs on the Arms Expo event. Destro tells everyone to get inside and get to cover. He orders his mercenaries to capture at least one drone intact so he can study it and determine who their attackers are. Meanwhile, Astoria Carlton Wrists stops in her tracks, gazing up at the destruction in awe. Destro yells at her to get to cover as a bomb falls right at their feet. He grabs her and they dive for cover, but the bomb doesn't explode. Destro was extremely lucky that the bomb was a dud, and he realizes now that he is at war with someone. He smiles in anticipation. To be continued. And that is it for Destro number 1. So, yeah, I thought this was, an interesting start. I mean, it's further and further away from Transformers, so it's not super exciting.
There is a Transformers connection besides Energon.
I know. Okay. I caught that. I caught it.
I don't think Daryl did.
But yeah, so we'll and we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's that. It's of course we've got Energon, we've got the Battle Android Troopers, they've got the direct connection to Energon there. Apparently, Tomax and Zaymot are rival mercenaries, and they're apparently coming for Destro. If it's implied that they sent those drones to attack. So we've got a little. We're setting up for a conflict between Tomax and Zaymot as the main story for this mini series. And then we do have a very obscure Transformers. I would definitely call this a deep cut. So yeah, Daryl, did you catch the other Transformers reference in the story? I'm curious.
Probably not.
All right. Well, we have Astoria Carlton Ritz. She would be better known as the girl who loved Power Glide. So that
really?
Yes.
Wow.
That is the same character. They took her character and have heavily revamped her for this storyline here.
I mean, she's.
Did you know that before you looked it up on the wiki?
I did. I recognized her. I did.
I googled the name because that name sounded familiar. But the company Hybrid Technologies is also her company she inherited. Mm-hmm. So they kept that.
And in the cartoon, she was she had some kind of just her presence would make technology malfunction in the cartoon in that episode. So potentially the reason that the bomb didn't explode when it landed right next to her is because her her vibes she had a necklace. Was that? I thought that the necklace was just the formula for the secret energy formula in the cartoon episode. I thought it was just her her personality would mess with technology or something.
Oh, it could be. Yeah.
I had to go rewatch that episode.
It's been years since I've seen that episode.
She doesn't have a necklace in this issue, so
she does not.
Yeah. And she's definitely, she's in the cartoon, she was kind of just a ditz. And here she's clearly a very ruthless, arms merchant. So not really the same character. But yeah, it was fun to see that reference thrown in. It was kind of out of left field. So I'm curious to see where that goes from here. So, but yeah, those are yeah. I mean, for me, it's meh. It's I'm continuing to wait and see where all the GI Joe stuff goes in the Energon universe, but it's still not wowing me. I'm sure Daryl feels probably much worse about it. But Daryl, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So all in all, I thought, I mean, it's a fine book. This is along the same lines as the Scarlet one, where it's like just barely scratching the Transformers adjacent, material. It's like, yeah, we saw Energon twice, I think, in this issue, and you've got this character that was in an episode of Transformers. So yeah, so I mean, this is all barely Transformers related. So I don't know why we are covering this book, but I'm sure you'll overrule me, but I
did look, I want to make it clear. In the Discord, I said, hey, I'm okay with after Cobra Commander ended. I said I was okay with stopping with the G.I. Joe books. I said I was okay with that. And Jeremy said we're going to continue on.
What? So I don't have any recollection.
Well, I wasn't here. I wasn't here for those weeks. I wasn't here for Scarlet #1. I said, you don't have to do Scarlet #1. I'm not here.
I thought we were going until the G.I. Joe ongoing started. And
I see.
I'm just saying. I'm not forcing anyone to do it. Although I will say, now that we've done the #1s, I think we got to go through to the whole miniseries.
As far as the book itself goes, again, similarly to Scarlet, it was a decent book, a nice revolution at the beginning, and it's vicious. I'll give him that. Like, a lot of ruthless stuff going on. Can we talk about the metal face? Like, what's the deal here? Like, it moves like skin. Like, what is it made of?
I mean, never been explained. Yeah, it's been like that since the 80s. I mean, it's even worse in the 80s. Like, how do you get a metal face like that back in the 80s? That's
right.
Can do expressions and stuff. Yeah. I mean, now you could even say, oh, I guess it's like nanotechnology or something that's bonded to his face or something. I don't know. But yeah,
it could just be paint.
I guess it's never
paint, like the guy in the
really good body paint.
Yeah. It's never made sense though. It's never made sense.
What the hell is this guy's deal? But I mean, yeah, you're getting a lot more backstory for Destro, which I guess is good. I mean, yeah, but the book is absolutely ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I mean, it's a fun read. I'll give you that. But this is not a Transformers book. So, yeah. I'm hazarding a guess that we aren't going to see any kind of direct Transformers comparison until like the main series. So, but yeah,
I think the artwork is pretty vibrant here. The colors are really nice.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah,
I enjoy the artwork for sure. The artwork's great, and it helps with the story.
Yep. And yeah, Tomax and Zaymot are another couple Cobra folks from the 80s that I vaguely remember. You know, they always completed each other's sentences in the cartoon. So
they had a blue suit with one had one shoulder pad, the other one had the other shoulder pad, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I think I remember those guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jeremy, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I mean, being more familiar with the characters than Daryl, I got a lot more of the references, but I mean, it was a good book. And like Daryl said, it was very violent, like, you know, killing those injured soldiers. I did not expect that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the world building, the Destro going to his ancestors and seeing, I'm guessing those are corpses still in their masks. And, you know, that was really cool. So, I mean, I'm excited to see where it's going, but yeah, very little Transformer connections at this point other than Energon. I wish they would show more of the Energon in use. You know, we just see kind of the results of it. I want to see some more of them experimenting with it and it going haywire. Mm-hmm. That would be a lot of fun. But as a number one for this next miniseries, I think it sets up the world pretty well. And like I said, the art was great. Colors were great. So yeah, this was fun. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the series. And hopefully we do have that inevitable clash with Transformers at some point.
Yep.
You know.
All right. Well, then I guess that will wrap up our review of Destro #1. And that will take us to the end of this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. So thanks everyone for watching and listening. As always, again, we give a shout out to our Masterpiece Donatrons. These are the folks who continue to support the podcast at our highest level on Patreon. And that's why we think they deserve a mention in every episode. So again, thank you to John Forex Levengood, Demon Tech 82, and Steve C. And thank you to everyone else out there who's watching and listening. Keep coming back, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.